What's up, everybody? I'm Caleb Ochoa, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is Ben the NFL, the championship weekend, and back with me, my co-host Derek Wesley, also known as DWeezy. What's going on, man? Glad to see you back.
Yeah, life been life and had some situations and things need to be dealt with and got my affairs in order. Back in the saddle, ready to jump back in things. I was able to fire off a few plays in the comments. Had a pretty good week in the divisional round and looking to turn it right back around and do the same this week.
Absolutely. We already got a comment from Jay. He says, DWeezy, twinkle twinkle.
Damn right, baby.
We'll say what's up to my dad. Glad to have you all here as we go through our bets of the weekend. But before we do that, like always, we got to go recap what happened in the divisional round. And we'll start with the home teams 3-1 against the spread. They were terrible. Home teams did not do good. 1-3 against the spread. The road dogs were 3-0 against the spread, which is very surprising. Favorites were straight up 2-2, 0-4 with favorites. That's depending on what the Chiefs game line was. I think they're going by that it was about I guess 9 or 8.5, depending on what the book you were looking at. But at least they have it that it was 0-4 for the favorites. So yeah, that's extremely surprising for me. And I guess it's extremely surprising for a lot of people, especially the public bettors. I mean, public bettors do like to take the favorites a lot of the time. Probably Vegas won, or any of the odds makers probably won a lot of money there. Over and unders, two overs, two unders, so not really any advantage there. But what you think about the divisional round?
Um, you know, for the most part, I did expect the favorites to come away in these matchups. Didn't expect the shocker that we got in Detroit with that game. But I did expect, close matchup in Buffalo versus Baltimore. I was a little shocked by the Rams, giving the Eagles a true challenge there, and almost ended up walking away with that game. Um, but I wasn't surprised that we saw a lot of close football in these matchups.
Yeah, as for my record, went didn't have had a horrible weekend. 0-3-1, didn't get a win, only got a push. Um, I think it was really represented in the numbers that I just went over. Favorites just didn't get it done. A lot of the time, like I said, a lot of the time the public likes to bet the favorites, and they probably lost on that one. I think it was most obvious in the Lions losing to the rookie quarterback. I don't think obviously a lot of people didn't expect that. I mean, the line was what it was. It was a huge line. Lions that were expected to win by a lot. They get upset by the Commanders, and yeah, I mean that was probably my most shocking loss. Uh, they lose by 2 touchdowns to overwhelming favorite. And but a lot of the other games, not really surprising. They were all pretty close. They were all one-score games. That's likely what you expected. So I'm not too mad at those. They just didn't go in my favor. Just on the wrong side of those games. So not too upset about that. But was upset that was the Commanders game. Just was pretty upsetting for me because that was just a complete miss by me. We'll say what's up to Jose. What's going on, man? But yeah, that was my terrible weekend.
Yes, like I mentioned at the beginning, had a nice week. Went 3-1. Um, if I had to pick, what was possibly the best play, Jameer Gibbs over on his Russian prop. I believe I hit the alternate market to get it up to a plus number. Um, but this was, a number that was not in doubt. Needed 94 yards. He had over 70 yards in the first half. He was able to eclipse this number, I believe, on only 9 carries. And it's a the Washington rush defense is a big reason why we are seeing such a massive prop in the rushing game for Saquon Barkley in this matchup. And so yeah, Jameer Gibbs going over that number was, fairly easy. And let me think. Also Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions, a very low number. The Kansas City Chiefs do like to utilize him in the pass game, even though you see Travis Kelsey be the offensive threat and weapon that he has been over the years. Gray walked away with 3 receptions in their game. Another easy cover. The only one that didn't come in for me was Mark Andrews, anytime TD. And not to say controversy, but there's definitely some rumblings and some hurt feelings about his performance from that game and some of the things that he did. So, unfortunately, found myself on the wrong side of the line in that play. But overall, I had a pretty damn good weekend.
All right. Before we get into our bets of the championship week, if you guys can hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you really want to support us, you can join Coffee or Ko-Fi, however you want to say it. The link is in the description down below. Join whatever tier suits you. Very much appreciated. And we just appreciate you guys for watching. So see what JSA says. He got paid to sell no other way. Yeah. All right. We will get into our bets of the week. And I guess if you want to start off, since you're back, I would definitely like to hear your thoughts. Getting right into it. We only got 2 games this weekend. Less and less opportunities every single weekend to get in bets, but we're gonna try to get you guys some money in your pockets, no matter how many opportunities we have left. So yeah, go ahead.
All right, give me 1 second as I pull them up. I did have a pair of plays for each matchup.
Okay.
Only 2 games, a few more numbers out there available to the public. But kick things off going to Buffalo. A player I've talked about a lot this year, and I felt that his utilization was definitely going to be increased in Buffalo with the offensive coordinator Joe Brady, and that was James Cook. That's something we saw a lot this season, and I'm going to his anytime TD prop plus 120. Um, you know, outside of this past weekend against Baltimore, who's basically had the best rush defense in the end of this season. We've seen out of the last 5 matchups, James Cook had a touchdown in at least 4 of them in one of those matchups, reaching the end zone twice. And so, I feel very comfortable with this prop, with how the team likes to utilize him, the way the team is built. He is the type of running back where even if the run game isn't being successful, you can still expect him to be utilized in the pass game. And I do. Kansas City's defensive line and front seven isn't the most friendly for a running back matchup, but given some of the numbers floating out around there in this game, again, this is a prop I feel very good about, especially at plus 120.
All right, we'll get to the Kansas City Buffalo game, and that the spread is 1.5. The Chiefs are laying the points there, pretty close spread. The over and under is at 47.5. So I'm going to take the Chiefs laying the points, the 1.5, and I'm going to take the under 47.5. I think the Chiefs have a good enough defense to hold the Bills back. The Bills play very safe offense. They have all season. They protect the ball. And that's what we've shown. You know, Josh Allen hasn't really played as reckless as he has in the past, and the Chiefs aren't lining up the scoreboard throughout the season. So I think the under is definitely the play in this one. The Chiefs have been able to turn it on when they have to. Obviously, um, you know, making the plays that they have, whether it's on defense or whether it's on offense, or even on special teams. But some of the blocked field goals that they get at the end of the game, whatever side of the ball they are on, they get it done somehow. I expect them to do that in this game. That's why I have them winning. It's only a 1 point spread, 1.5 point spread. So really, all they have to do is really just get the win. Mostly, The Chiefs got a lot of pressure on Houston. I think they started like 9 times. If they can do that, then I think nobody's really been able to force Josh Allen to those mistakes. So he can play a little more reckless, or he has to force some things in where he doesn't want to. Maybe I think if the Chiefs can get pressure like they did last week, they can force them into making those mistakes and maybe get a little reckless in this game. I think obviously it hasn't happened yet. They both teams pretty good at protecting the ball. It's just who's going to make that mistake first. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are obviously better at doing that, so I think they'll get the win here. Buffalo 5-4 on the road straight up, obviously, and Kansas City 9-0 at home straight up. So I definitely went like the win, like them for them to get the win. We'll say what's up to Endo, what's going on. But yeah, that's my picks on that bet, on that game.
Yeah, and I definitely think the under. There's a strong chance of that because when you look at these the head-to-head matchups between these two teams from previous years, um, you do see a handful of games where your final score, you're talking 2017, 24-21, lower scoring matchups that fall right in under that 47.5 that we're seeing. And something you mentioned a little bit, Josh Allen hasn't been as reckless as we've seen him in the past. And I think defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to be dialing up some things and pressure. And the other prop for this game that I'm going with, Josh Allen to throw a interception in this matchup. Currently seeing it around -114, so clearly the books do think there's some possibility for this because Josh Allen was able to finish out the season strong when it came to an ability to not turn over the ball. It's been a number of weeks, I believe, since we've seen an interception, and even in years past in these matchups, he's not guaranteed to throw an interception against the Chiefs, but I was a little shocked to see this number at -114, not closer to even money, maybe even a plus number. But yeah, I do think there's a good chance that we see Allen possibly turn the ball over, especially if we're talking about a scenario where the Bills find themselves behind late in the game. Not to say that he would necessarily panic, but it does increase the likelihood that he might attempt throws that may be more ill advised, but because of the circumstances, having to take those chances.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I don't think really teams have really forced them into that. The games that they lost, it was like a kind of a back and forth battle, and they were still able to score a lot of points in some of those games, except for like the Ravens game where they just got completely blown out. So I don't think he's really had to, really force it in where he didn't want it, and that's why he's, hasn't really shown his reckless side that we've seen in seasons past. But like I said, the defense can play like they did last week. Then that definitely can force them into those mistakes. But we'll get to the next game, and obviously that's the NFC Championship with the Commanders, and which is my nightmare. The Commanders +6 at the Eagles.
Hey, you and Ferris have something y'all can bond over from this season.
Yeah, I wish we didn't. Because this is horrible. This is like this is the one matchup that just you just don't want to see. This is horrible.
So
But
we're rooting for a tie in this game.
well, I'm rooting to make some money. That's the only silver lining that I can make money in this game. Um, but I'm gonna take the over and under is set at 47.5, same as the other. Both games are at 47.5. It is pretty weird. But that is the over and under total. I'm going to take the Commanders +6. And I'm going to take the over 47.5 points. Obviously, I've been wrong on the Eagles every single time I bet against them. I even bet one time for them, and I still lost the damn bet. I've never been right on the Eagles, betting either way. So you might as well stick to being wrong against them. I'm just gonna bet the Commanders because I was almost right betting against the Eagles last week. They did get the push, but so it was almost a win. Maybe now I can finally be right and bet against the Eagles, and the Commanders can cover the 6-point spread. The Commanders obviously just showed that they can get a big upset win when nobody really expects them to, and cover a big spread like this. The Commanders have split this regular season with the Eagles. The first one was a one-score game in which the Commanders lost, and the other one was another one-score game which they won. Although they were playing Kenny Pickett in that second game, Jaden Daniels still threw all over that defense, 5 touchdowns against the Eagles defense, and I think he can find the same kind of success in this game. He was like 78% completion percentage and both combined in those first 2 games. So I think he definitely knows how to play well against this Eagles secondary. Um, and so I like. I think Brian Robinson also can play a big factor in this game with the run game, which will open up Jane Daniels to really eat up their defensive backs. The Commanders have to find they just got to find a way to stop Barkley even for just a little bit. That's what hurt him in the other 2 games. He just ran all over Dan Quinn's defense, and we've seen, at least I even know how bad Dan Quinn's defense can be against the run. So they got to find a way to at least slow him down. If they can do that, then that puts a lot on Hurts. And we've seen Hurts hasn't really been that good all season. They really have taken it out of his hands. They gave it to Barkley and really relied on him running the ball to this satisfaction of AJ Brown when he's reading books on the sideline because he ain't getting the ball. So we know that Hurts it's having some trouble in the passing game. So if we could force him into that trouble, then the Commanders can definitely get the win here. Washington 13-6-1 against the spread, one of the best covering teams in all the NFL. 4-1 the last 5 games. So I definitely think the Commanders can cover that spread. And the reason why I think they can go over, obviously, last game was a big shootout game, a lot of turnovers that led to points. So these, especially with how Saquon Barkley can run, without Jaden Daniels can pass, I think these offenses definitely can light up the scoreboard. So I definitely like the over 47.5 too.
Yeah, with this matchup, I would as far as in terms of the total, I would definitely look to the over. I had somebody ask me about the college playoff championship matchup, and one of the things I pointed out to them, because ironically the number was basically the same. He had over 47 in that game. And while there was potential that it could be a very close matchup, one-score game, final score ended up being a little bit more than that. But uh, even in a blowout scenario, you could easily potentially clear that 47, 35-14, something along those lines. So in this matchup, yes, there is, the possibility that we see this game stay close, in my opinion. At the same time, if we do find, if we find ourselves in a blowout in this matchup, regardless of which side it is, because if Jalen Hurts is not healthy, that could raise a number of different issues on the offensive side of the ball. And the Commanders have clearly proven, even in the regular season, they are not incapable of putting up points and moving the ball downfield in large chunk plays. So, with that being said, yeah, a lot of it's going to fall on Saquon, and we see that even reflected in some of the player props, as the sports books out there are daring people to take the over with his Russian prop. I've seen 124.5. I think in some places it's even closer to 130. I mean, this is
He can
great.
get that in the first half.
Yes, and that's the dilemma here. Like, Saquon has been a great player to you might not necessarily just play the over on the Russian prop, but there's definitely been a number of different angles to make money off his props throughout the season. And you got him going up against a horrible rush defense. A prime, a prime moment to try and capitalize on Saquon in the prop markets, and the books want none of it. And unfortunately, the scary thing is, even if you want to try and play under 124.5, what if Saquon breaks off a 60, 70 yard run? We've seen him do it. I'm sure if we go back and look through the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's had 7 or 8 runs this season that were north of 50, 60 yards. Um, you get a run like that, and there's a possibility that he clears any number, regardless of what it is. Um, so, as much and as desperately as I would love to target some of his props in this matchup, the books just aren't making it very doable. But it's not going to keep me away because, as I mentioned, we've seen Hurts banged up in the last matchup. He was wearing a brace at the end of the game underneath his uniform. And I think we're going to see some of that reflected into this game. And I'm going Saquon Barkley, 2 touchdowns, only plus 200, which is insane in itself. I mean, it's really insane. You're talking going to an anytime touchdown market and going to 2 touchdowns in the game and seeing anything less than plus 450, 5 to 1, something like that. So clearly the books are expecting a lot of volume out of Saquon. His carries prop, I believe, is somewhere in the range of 25, 26. Just a number of massive numbers out there. And unfortunately, you can't even um, really go after those unders with any full certainty because we're talking about a player that can clear any of those numbers, especially against a horrible Russian defense like the one that we're looking at. And with my other play in this game, I'm sticking right there with the rush game with Kenneth Gainwell. Over 10.5 rushing yards, right at minus 106. Not a very appetizing number. But clearly, the Eagles have shown in the past and throughout the season, they're not afraid to give him touches. If we're talking about a game where we could potentially see less out of Hurts in the pass game, and an increase in carries like what is possibly expected for Saquon, it's quite likely that you see a couple more, if nothing else, more snaps on the field for Gainwell, if not a handful of carries right along with Saquon in that run game. And Gainwell has shown, he can still run the ball. He isn't just a pass only back. And with this number at 10.5, it's a number that he's shown that, he could clear on just one rush. And going up against this horrible rush defense, I see no reason why not to target him in the Russian prop. It's a extremely low number. If we're talking about a scenario where this becomes a blowout game, yes, I think it's possible that we see Saquon coming out of the game and Gainwell out there more. So there's a number of different ways that we can potentially see this number getting cleared by Gainwell in the rush game.
All right. That's all my bets, unless you have anything else.
Well, I did add one as you were talking, a little teaser play action, 6 point teaser, taking the Buffalo Bills up to +8 and bringing the Eagles down to a pick 'em. I don't necessarily think that the Bills might win that game outright, but I do believe that that'll be a within a one-score game. That being said, being able to get that number at +8 in the teaser and a bit of the reverse with the Eagles scenario, not having to worry about a spread and basically bringing that down to a pick 'em. And things could get a little interesting. The last time I did this, it ended up working out for me. So looking to repeat some of the magic of an in-episode live play. And was hot last week. Looking to keep things going this week. Uh, we're getting to that Super Bowl. That's where that prop mania, where the sports books put out any and every prop that you can imagine. And if there is a prop or something that you could even think that might be a bet, don't be afraid to reach out to your sports book, especially around the Super Bowl and for something like the Super Bowl with everything they're doing. A lot of these sports books aren't against putting up a market that was suggested by customers or better. Um, it might not go up immediately. So maybe reach out, before Super Bowl Sunday or the Saturday before, something like that. Uh, but yeah, uh, as many different markets and numbers that they got going up, for the sports books, basically, if they can come up with odds for it, there's a good chance they'll let you bet it. So, you know, in a day and age where when it comes to the Super Bowl, where, you can pretty much bet just about anything out there, if you got one that ain't up, you know, reach out because you might be able to get some action on that.
And just as you mentioned that, we will be back for the Super Bowl, making all the types of prop bets, not just betting the game. Have a whole list for you guys, um, to yeah, so you guys can have all the different types of props and what we think is going to happen in that game. No show next week, because obviously there's no Pro Bowl game. It's not like we would bet on the Pro Bowl either,
Yes, I'm
anyways.
sorry. You are a true degenerate if you are out there trying to get bets down on the Pro Bowl events and whatever they're doing. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
you,
there's nothing
you
to bet on next week.
I was gonna say there
Well,
might be a hotline or two you need to call if you're trying to put down action on the Pro Bowl. I'm just saying.
yeah, so we'll be back Super Bowl week. We'll have everything that you need to make your bets for the big game. Um, but as for now, that is our show. You can tell everybody where they can find you, DWeezy.
Yes, the folks can catch me at Backyard Action Media here on YouTube, at the Yard Bets on Twitter, um, and also I'll be dropping a segment in the new LGR newsletter that's going to be going out. So, make sure to come check out the website, sign up for the newsletter, find out about all the things that we got going on within the LGR, not just, with this show, but with other shows. Caleb does Good Friends, Better Rivals with Ferris Mutana, just a massive conglomerate of a network covering just about any and everything. So, definitely sign up for that and come find out everything that's going on in the LGR.
Absolutely. You can find me at NFLK22 on Instagram, Twitter, /X. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Like I said, we'll be back in a couple weeks. But like I always say, let's get ready to make that money.